Well, hello, my friends. Excuse me. It's good to see you. It's been a little while, but I wanted to stop for just a few minutes. It's been difficult for me to podcast lately. Excuse me, because it's just been crazy at my place, my house, my family. It's just been insane, and trying to nail down, especially my wife, and get it to where she can podcasting with me has been especially difficult lately. We've had a new grandbaby boy. His name is Deacon, and we've got another girl on the way. She'll be here in about a month. So we are just really excited about all of that, and just been all over the place. And finding quality time to spend with my wife has been difficult enough on its own, much less trying to find time to be able to podcast. But I wanted to talk to you today about something very specific, and that is the topic of bullying. I'm well aware of what it's like to be bullied. And you would think at this point in my life it wouldn't be an issue. You know, I'm very middle-aged, and I see it every day. I see it every day. Whenever I go in to go to work, I'm ready to do a good job, and I'm pumped. I'm spiritually ready. I've been praying on my way to work. I spend some time while I drive praying. I'm ready to do some cool things for God. And not only that, but do a good job when I get there, because, I work in the public, and I want to do good. And it never fails that I run into a bully, whether it's a coworker or whether it's customers that come in. Had a customer this morning that was just so unbelievably rude. And, people call customers like that Karens. I don't really like that too much because, good afternoon to you, Barry. I don't like using the word Karens too much, because I know some people named Karen and they're really nice people, and they're not like the people I'm describing. So I call them bullies. That's what they are. And we can call them whatever we want to, but they're pretty much stinky people. Just stinky people. And this guy this morning was letting me have it so bad, I didn't know if I was talking, by the end of the conversation, if I was talking to his face or his butt. It was bad. And I'm thinking, at my age, I don't have to be dealing with somebody like that. But I do. And you know what I did? Just kept right on smiling and did what I needed to do. In my life, and I'm going to tell you a story, and it goes way back. When I was in the second grade, I went to a one-building school. It had 6 rooms in it, first through sixth grade, and it was one building, one little small building. It's called Old Sunrise School. And my teacher in the second grade, and looking back on it now, I cannot believe that she got away with some of the things that she got away with. She was absolutely out of control. Looking back, she bullied us as children. And I think that was probably one of my very first experiences with bullying, was from my second grade teacher, of all places, for real. She had nicknames for all the kids in the class. She had one girl she called Stinky, which she took outside and washed with a water hose. Everybody had nicknames. My nickname was, except for her favorites, of course, my nickname was Booger Picker. That's what she called me. When she took roll, that's what she called me. I remember one time, just to tell you kind of how this was, I was indoctrinated early on how to deal with bullies. If I got in trouble at school, then when I got home, I got in trouble again. I mean, that's how my parents were. They wanted to be sure I behaved myself, and if I didn't, then if I got a paddling at school, we had paddlings back then. It's just really ancient. It's an ancient action we don't hear much about anymore. But if I got a paddling at school, when I got home, I got my butt spanked again. And this real good friend of mine had a toy airplane. And his toy airplane was awesome. And so I saved up my allowance money and bought me an airplane like that so that I could play with him at recess with our toy airplanes. Went to a store called TG&Y. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of TG&Y, but that's where I got it. And I was so excited. The next day I got called in, and my teacher took me to the office. and says, well, we understand that you stole so-and-so's airplane. I said, no, I saved up my money and bought my own airplane. I said, well, his is missing, and we were told that you have one, and we want you to give it back to him. I said, no, this is mine. It's mine. So she paddled me. And she said, I'm going to paddle you every day until you bring the airplane back to him. Well, it was mine. But at the same time, I didn't tell my parents that I got paddled, because if I did, then I'd be whooped at home. You know, I'd be in trouble at home because I got in trouble at school. At least that's what my 7-year-old mind thought. My parents are awesome parents. So this went on for days. I guess about a week later, finally, another teacher that I had, which I love, called my mother at home and says, do you know what's going on with the airplane at school? I said, no, what's going on? She told my mom, says, well, he's been getting paddled every day because they said that he took an airplane that belonged to another kid and he won't give it back, and he's going to get a paddling every day until he gives it back. Well, this went on, and my mom, I'm getting a paddling. The teacher's in mid-swing whenever I look up and my mom walks in the office door. My mom walks over to the teacher and says, why are you paddling my son? Says, well, okay, he hasn't told you about this? No. Explain the situation to my mother. My mom tells her, I just got through talking to a teacher on the telephone that said she turned in a toy that was left on the playground that matches with the one you're looking for, and it's been sitting on your desk for a week in a brown paper bag. Would you look at your desk and see if there's a brown paper bag there? Teacher comes back with a brown paper bag, and that toy airplane was in that bag, and it had been there for a week. That was the day the teacher quit bullying me. My mom took care of business. I didn't get bullied by her anymore. But you know, kids on the playground, we've all, I think, have stories of what it's like to be bullied, children on the playground, and I have my stories. That same year, in second grade, I remember wanting to sit with some children, and they didn't want me to sit there, and they finally says, you can sit there if you can read this word. And I was a new reader, and they wrote this word on a piece of paper, and I read it, and I didn't know what it meant, what it was, even how to sound it out. I mispronounced the word. And it was a 4-letter word that began with the F. And so I said it wrong. And then they go up and they tugged on the teacher's skirt and says, you know, he came up and he said this word to us. And I got took to the office, and got a note sent home to my parents that I said that, and got a paddling. And got in trouble at home. But I remember that. Through high school, I was the weird guy. I was not the one that was the good-looking guy. I wasn't the one that everybody thought was popular or cool or wanted to date. I wasn't that guy. I was the weird guy. So I got picked on a lot in high school. But even now, as a middle-aged adult, I still have to deal with bullies. I can't explain to you what it's like working in retail. I think everybody, when they get out of high school, ought to go to work in retail for at least about 6 months, just so that you know how to be nice to these people that are there to try to help you. When I go up to someone and I say, can I help you? Do you know what? I mean that. I mean it. I want to help people. I'm there. If I'm going to try to go to all the trouble to make myself, and I'll see what I look like, look presentable, and put on my shoes and get dressed and go to work, I'm going to do something while I'm there, and I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to earn my pay, and I'm going to try to help people. I really am. And it never fails that I've got people that come in there that think it's a you against me mentality, and get nasty emails on why didn't you do this right? Why didn't you do that right? And I never ever will set out to try to just do something to not do my job. This is not in me. It's not the kind of person I am. And I'm kind of a tender-hearted, sensitive guy. I really am. And I'm being a little bit vulnerable in telling you that, because why? Because when you say that out loud, when people learn what kind of person you are, it puts a big old stinking forehead target there where people are going to pick on you because the bullies come out of the work to mess with the people who are sensitive. I've always had an empathetic personality. I have the gift of mercy, and I identify with people that are hurting. And people love to make fun of those kind of folks. They just do. And I think that we have to remember that God's word tells us that we should be tenderhearted and kind. Galatians 6:9. Go look that up. Galatians 6:9 says to be kind, to be tenderhearted, and to forgive others just like God has forgiven us. Do I forgive my second grade teacher? I do. I'll never understand what would make an adult treat a child that way. There are a lot of people that may be watching this that were abused by adults. Shame on them. Shame on them. Shame on them. But to move on in our own life, we've got to forgive that person, those people, so that we can move forward in our own life. We're not the ones that hurt whenever we carry, they're not the ones that hurt whenever we carry around a grudge. We're the ones that hurt. It's like poisoning someone else and it killing us, right? You have to let it go. Allow God to help you. Because I don't know that some people can be forgiven out of our own power. But Jesus in me can help me forgive someone else. And I just have to let him do it. There are people in church, oh my gosh, some of the meanest people I ever dealt with were in my own church. Do I hold that against Jesus and against his church? No. Because that's just bullies. It's imperfect people. And that's what a church is people. It's just people. And there's some, I had a church lady tell me that she was slinging the gloves off and coming after me. I used to have a fellow that would drive through the parking lot to see if my truck was in the parking lot to make sure I was there earning my time while I was at work at church. Now, some people think it's their God-given ability to be a bully. I want to encourage you. Don't hold that against God. It's those people. But don't try to get revenge on those people yourself either. Because as I look back and see what God has done in my own life and how he's forgiven me, I'm no better than they are. I just sin differently. Okay? Allow him to take care of those people just like he has to take care of you. And if we'll do that, if we will allow Christ to move in our own life, forgive the other people around us, and do what Galatians 6:9 plainly tells us to do, and be kind and tenderhearted and forgive others the way God has forgiven us, it changes our whole outlook. Changes our outlook. Now I'm fixing to go back to work. I'm actually talking to you on my lunch hour. And if you're watching this as a live recording, so I'll re-upload it on Facebook and on YouTube. But when I go back to work, I'm going to run into some again. They may have a vest on that indicates they work with me. They may be people who come in there as customers that are just upset and you never know what somebody's got going on. And they may take it out on me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be tenderhearted. And I'm going to forgive others the way God's forgiven me. And I'm going to try to have that affect every area of my life. My home life, my work life, my driving. That's a toast on. We're in that. My driving, the way I treat my older relatives, the way I treat the little babies that are being born into my family as my grandbabies. I want to teach them to be tenderhearted and kind, even though it means they're going to get hurt. Many of us have been hurt, and I know what it feels like. But God is a good God, and we can crawl up into his arms, and he can help us to feel better. And he'll take care of those people. He'll take care of them. Shame on them. But let him deal with that. Let him deal with it, because he'll deal with it in a much better way than you or I would ever do. I love you guys. Sorry about this thrown together podcast on a live feed. Maybe next time it'll be a little bit better. But God bless you guys. And let's just go out there and give them heaven. Okay?